welcome to part 2 on frequently asked questions about silk screening. I'm Bob Mangello with silkscreennow.com. All right, I wanted to go over different items that you want to buy at Home Depot for your shop. One of them is a chemical resistant spray bottle, and what I use that for is a soy solvent because it helps. It stays working for a while. It'll last maybe 6 months. You'll have to get another one. The soy solvent, or even if you put mineral spirits in it, it'll eventually eat away at the plastic and break it. So that, but at least you'll have it. It's better. The soy and stuff is in a spray bottle. You don't use as much. Okay, get a regular spray bottle for your water for misting the screen. You're going to need one of those. You're going to need paper towels. So every time you see them on sale or you see a deal on paper towels, you're going to be using a lot of paper towels. A lot of newspapers too. You want that. For burning the image in the screen, you need a piece of glass. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that. Basically, what I like is a 1/4 inch thick, and they sand it. It's commercial glass. And what you want to watch out for is any filters, anything that would filter out UV rays. And I'll tell you, they would use that for windows and storefronts to help protect, if it's a furniture store. They use that in picture frames, so don't use glass out of a picture frame. I go to a commercial glass place and just really make sure it's clear glass, no filters, and they'll sand it for you. And you want the heavier glass, because the thinner glass, after you handle it for a while, it tends to break. So the 1/4 inch will last longer. You want it the size of the screen, just a little smaller than the frame. The idea of this glass is when you're burning the image in the screen and you're putting your film positive down, it's to hold it real close to the screen so it doesn't warp up. So it's really important that you have the right kind of glass when you're burning your screen. That's one of the calls I get is I find out people are using glass from a picture frame or something like that. That'll stop you from getting the image burned properly. Okay, a lot of people ask what kind of light, when you're putting the emulsion on, it's sensitive to UV rays. So you don't want fluorescent lights on while you're working with the emulsion. You don't want the sunlight, any of that. You can use a regular light bulb. And fortunately, these are still legal. But you can go up to 100 watt regular incandescent. This is called an incandescent light bulb. The one Thomas Edison invented. You can use this and have it to be real bright. You can work with emulsion with an incandescent light bulb. No fluorescent or halogen lights or anything like that. So that's the kind of light you can work under until the screen is coated and it dries and you burn the image. Okay, this is called a Vellum. And what it is backing for when they do drapes. They use it in fabric shops. And they cut them out at the silk screen supply stores, and they sell packs of 100. I think it's about 10 cents each, but this is what you practice printing your image before you print it on the t-shirt. That way you don't ruin the t-shirt. And also what people will do is always print on this, and they'll keep like a folder with all their prints, so when you're talking to a customer, you can show them your work. So these are really hand in hand. You want to buy Vellums. The board, it's called a platen that you print on. what we use and what the industry uses, it's Formica on one side, MDS fiberboard. It's a real dense fiberboard, and then it has a backing on it. And the reason you want that is because there's going to be heat applied to this sometimes from the flash dryer. There's going to be the ink and the chemicals. You got to clean it off. So you want it Formica on this side. So this board is more expensive. It's not what they call melamine, just a painted whiteboard. It is, that's real, it's a good coating there. So that's what we use, and in the industry, any good printer will have this kind of board. Also, let me point out that when we have our boards, they're just square like this, and they're 16 by 16, and then they have boards that are smaller for a sleeve or a pant leg, and then they have smaller ones for child sizes. So we have different sizes. Everybody has different sizes. Some boards are shaped, and they have a part to when you put a T-shirt on, the neck will fall in that. So you kind of get an idea where, how to center a T-shirt. But let me point out that there's a rib on a T-shirt, and if that's up there and the screen hits that rib, the screen will be off the T-shirt, and you really don't want it. That's why I don't have that. I mean, I know it looks nicer, and new people think, oh, I won't be able to line up a T-shirt, but actually T-shirts, if you watch my other videos, you'll see they're real easy to line up just like that. So you don't really want the rib around there, and so that's why I do it like that. Okay, another thing I wanted to point out on flash dryers. Some people want a controller for the temperature. Now, a flash dryer is a heater out in the open. And the only thing a controller can do on an electric, it's like an electric stove controller. All they are is when you turn the temperature lower, what happens, the heater turns off for a few seconds and then turns back on, turns off for a few seconds, turns back on. There's no monitor of a temperature. So a controller on a flash dryer is really not a good idea. Number one, they break easily and you have to replace it. But number two, what's best about a flash dryer is there's even heat and it's constantly coming down. And the way you control the temperature is how far away from the T-shirt it is. That's how you control the temperature. But if you control it with an electric controller, you actually turn the flash dryer off, and the lower you go, the more it turns off and then turns back on. It's like I said, it's for a few seconds or longer, the lower the temperature, and that is not good for a flash dryer. There'll be points where you're not drying, you're thinking you're curing a shirt, but the heater is off. So if somebody, those are bells and whistles, what we call bells and whistles. They add all this stuff, and if you're brand new trying to look for stuff, you say, oh, it has a controller. So you don't want that. That's why you don't want it. You want to keep it simple. You want a switch to turn it on and off, and that's what we do. Now I keep things simple, and I make it so it's easy to repair. There's no complex or switch that you can't find at the hardware store. You can go to Home Depot and get this switch. As long as it's a high-rated 20-amp switch, you can replace it. So that'll save you a lot of time and money later. So keep that in mind. Okay, the other thing I want to talk to you about is whether you use Vellum or the clear transparency in order to burn the image. This is Vellum. It looks like white paper, but light can pass through it. That's what Vellum is. They actually use it in architectural blueprints and that. They use it when they draw it, and then the blueprints, when they're making the blueprints, the light goes through, and where the lines are, it prints out. So Vellum is probably what the industry uses. the transparencies here you get just at Staples or anything, and they'll run in either an inkjet printer, but you have to buy it. It has to say inkjet printer, or you can get it to run through a laser printer. But what I use, I like the Vellum. Actually, this is a Vellum I use, and it works great in a laser printer. So if you have a laser printer and you get Vellum for a laser printer, you're going to be happy with that. But the transparency, I'm going to show you this. Turn my timer off. A transparency, one thing you have to do with a transparency is print 2 of them, put them together so the image is dark enough for when you burn the screen. That image has to be black. It can't be faint on there, or the UV ray will go right through. So when you use a transparency, more than likely, you're going to have to double it up and use 2. Now, this is 11 by 17, and we went to Kinko's to have this printed. You know, your ordinary household printer is just big enough for this, and sometimes you want to go bigger. So the Kinko's is near us does, and I'm not sure all of them do, but you want to print on, you can go there. If you have a big size, bigger than that, you can go to a blueprint place and take them your CD disc with your artwork, and they can print it out on Vellum for you. So you can go, let's say you're actually silk screening a sign that's 2 foot by 3 foot, or a political sign. You can go to a blueprint shop, tell them you want a Vellum, and they charge you like $1.50 a square foot. So, and they do that. So that's how you handle getting your image. So, okay, so that's that. Let's see what else I wanted to talk to you about. Okay, some people, instead of using a flash dryer, they're told to use a heat gun, which is, a heat gun is what you paint, remove paint on woodwork. You can buy them at Harbor Freight Tools, if you have one in your area, or Home Depot, and they're about $40. And I'll tell you, it's just a concentrated area like this, so you're having to dry your whole image by hand. And the $40 you spend for that, I'm going to tell you, it's not worth it. I don't care what you do, get a flash dryer, because you cannot sit there and do 20 shirts, you know, that much at a time. So, you know, my recommendation, if somebody's trying to sell a heat gun to you, I don't care if you think you don't have the money, it's just not going to work unless you do that. Okay, there is, I didn't talk about reclaimer, screen reclaimer. When you're done with an image on a screen, you can remove the emulsion. And the way it's done is with stuff called reclaimer. Now, it doesn't always get the emulsion off. Sometimes the longer you leave the emulsion on, you know, my recommendation is print your shirts, clean it the way I told you earlier, get all the oils off, and you put reclaimer, it's water with a chemical in it. In a spray bottle, you spray it, and if you have a pressure washer, a lot of pressure, you wash it all clean, but do it right out, you know, within a few days. The longer you let emulsion sit, the harder it is to get off. If you have a pressure washer, they sell them at Walmart for $120, you know, like a 500 PSI, and that'll be great. That'll help you clean them. If you live near a company, like there's a few places near here in California, they charge $6 to remove it, and let them do the messy part if you can. But if you have to do it, you want to do like pretty much right away. But remember, if you leave oil, we talked about it earlier, you want to degrease it. Get all the oil, all the tape, if there's tape glue on there, get all of that off, and then spray reclaimer. The other information on that is never reclaim them in the sunshine, okay? If you spray reclaimer on there and it takes a few minutes to break down and you accidentally let it dry in the sun, you will never get that emulsion off. So you do it in the shade, okay? So all that's done in the shade. Pay attention, do it and get it done. Don't let them set. Don't let the reclaimer dry in it or you won't. You'll have to rip the screen out and rescreen it. So I think that wraps up what I wanted to talk to you. I get a lot of questions about all those things. I wrote them down for you. If you want to see how to create and build things for your shop, go to silkscreennow.com. That's my website. I have lots of videos on how to build, what you can build yourself. And then I sell things that you can't build, but I sell the parts that'll, just the parts that you need to add to your shop to make a professional print. So, I hope this information helped you. Take care and have a good day. Thank you.